Welcome everybody to our webinar on how to get 50 pounds healthier in 15 weeks. And I will tell you, this is a really important topic, especially right now, because there are a number of people that are struggling with the quarantine 15. And if you are one of those people or someone you know is, then you're on the right webinar right now. So we're going to cover not just the conventional things that people have tried and just don't work, but the things that I've been using right here in my practice that include some of the leading things that science is telling us is what is going to help you be successful. So let's just jump right in. I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can follow along. Usually we do this one live, but of course for right now we're doing it as a webinar. And the good news is that we get to record it and you folks get to also from afar get to see what we're doing here. So welcome to everybody. So we're going to start with a little bit of housekeeping. In the end of June, we know that once people realize, oh my gosh, things are opening up and I want to look good and now I'm going to get more active. And next thing you know, we have these weekend warriors that are getting sports injuries from having been sedentary for too long and then jumping right in. Or maybe somebody you know that struggles with old injuries. So we're going to cover all the kinds of things that can happen. I also lovingly call this adult falling apart syndrome, FAS. So we're going to cover this at the end of June, June 24th at 6:30 p.m. And so if you'd like to attend, please register. You can go to our website to register for that and share this with other folks. So let's get back to our topic now, how to get 15 pounds healthier in 15 weeks. So this is such an important topic because you know, we can make light of it, of people gaining a few extra pounds now and then, but the truth is that we actually have a lot of trouble here in our country. And I want to just first start by sharing with you just the story of somebody in my practice that this is somebody that came into the practice for the specific reason of they had weight that they wanted to lose and they were stuck. And they came into the practice because they actually had somebody that was already a patient refer them in. And they were just sharing with this person that they were struggling. And this patient said, hey, you need to go see Dr. Heather. She can really help you. And he says, why should I go to a chiropractor if I'm trying to lose weight? And he says, because you need to get healthier. And she's going to help you get healthier. And so he took the step. He came in as a new patient. We went through our whole process of uncovering what is the cause of what's stopping you from your body just having the ideal weight that you want. And so we uncovered that there were actually some concerns. In fact, this person was actually out of breath very easily. In fact, I remember as we were sitting in our consultation, that even just sitting there, he would get up and move and he would be out of breath. And he confessed that, oh yeah, this has been a concern as well. And then we just uncovered a number of different health concerns that he also had. And we created a program for him. He started to follow the program. And what do you know, within the first few visits, he just started to lose weight. And then we continued to coach him. And the next thing you know, his breath is getting more easy. And then, you know, he can start exercising more. And he was well on his way to hitting his goals. So the way that we work with people is we work on a very individual level to uncover exactly what the cause is that's getting in the way of them meeting their health goals. And when it comes to getting that ideal body, we want to get clear on what people's objectives are and how we can help them. So I wanted to share that story with you and help you to create a context for everything that we're going to cover, because really it's so important to get clear about what your objectives are. So when we think about this, many people, their first obvious objective is, I just want to lose weight. Okay, so is that really your objective? Because there are unhealthy ways to lose weight and there are healthy ways to lose weight. So getting clear about that is important, because if we don't, then we could get ourselves into trouble with our health. So look more closely at why do you want to lose weight? Maybe there are some other things that are getting in the way. Maybe you don't have the energy that you want, or you can't move your body as easily, or you can't keep up with your children or your grandchildren. Or maybe you're afraid that you know that if you're heavy, maybe it makes you more susceptible to other chronic illnesses. And we're actually going to unpack that as well. So what is your objective? Is it to change your body? Perhaps that's actually what your real goal is. You want to just be happier with what your body is like. And maybe you want to avoid disease. Maybe you want to increase strength and speed, increase your performance, your capacity, your function. So it turns out that the quality of your questions will determine the quality of your experience and your results. And we want to get clear on what our goals are and objectives are, because we want to start measuring what's important. So just getting on the scale may not be the best measurement to use. So I want you to get clear on what your ultimate objectives are, so we then can understand what's the best way to measure that. And it's important that we have functional goals as well. What kind of function do you want in order to achieve your objectives? So if it's simply to lose weight, then the only thing you're going to look at is getting on the scale. That's the thing that measures your weight. But if it's to have a healthier body or even a more attractive body, that's going to be more about the shape of your body. So maybe you want to measure inches. You want to measure what percentages you have. So again, just get clear about what your actual objective is. Maybe your objective is you actually just want to create optimal health. That's a fantastic objective to have. And on the way to getting optimally healthy, you will achieve your ideal body. So if you have that as your goal, then you're going to go much further than simply struggling with the weight. Okay. So, and we're going to uncover why that is, because sometimes your weight can go up as you're getting healthier. And I'm going to explain why that is. So first off, let's look at what does it mean to be optimally healthy? How do we actually measure that? We want to use biomarkers to measure that, because that will tell us about if there actually is improved function. And so when we talk about measuring biomarkers, right, really what that means is increasing our performance. Having a healthy appearance can be one of your biomarkers if you're measuring, for example, inches. And so if your goal for optimal health means that you're going to look good, you're going to feel great, you're going to function better, now you're right on track. So that's what we want to look for, is digging in, figuring out what is it that you're really looking for, what's going to motivate you so you can commit to making the changes that you need to make, and then how do you measure that? Is it just that you want to look good while you're naked? Maybe it is. That's a fantastic goal to have, actually. And so recognize that people are not necessarily coming to me saying that they're looking for optimal health. Most people actually, I really wish they were. Most people are actually looking for something specific that they want to change. So think about what is that specific thing that you want to change, and then just project it out to ultimately it's on your way to getting optimal health. And watch out also for the new standards that we have in our culture, which is really about this idea that skinny is the new sexy. It's a pretty unhealthy image to have. Let's just change that. Who's with me here? We need a better model. How about healthy is the new sexy? Because the current model that skinny is the new sexy, it is so disempowering and damaging to create this anchor, especially so early on in young women and young men. So let's shift this right now. We need a new standard. Who's with me here? How about now our new standard is that healthy is the new sexy. So I want to just jump right in here that there's an elephant in the room here. And this article came from a European scientist. This whole idea of COVID-19, this pandemic that we're struggling with, where the entire world has been shut down. Let's recognize, why has that happened? Is it because there's this novel virus that's moving through our population? Or is it because our population is so unhealthy that this novel virus, there are certain people that are struggling with it, right? So the information that we have now, the data is showing that yes, this is a contagious virus, and yes, it is dangerous, but those two are not the same. The level of its contagion and the level of its being dangerous is different. It is contagious to everybody, no matter what your health status is, but it's only dangerous to certain segments of the population. And those are the segments that are unhealthy, right? If you are immune compromised, then you are at higher risk. So what does it mean to be immune compromised? Well, one of the factors they discovered was obesity was one of the risk factors. So I wanted to share a little bit of the detail of what this particular article showed us. And I'm just going to look at my notes because it was really telling what some of the factors were that showed up here in this article. So first off, again, just let's recognize that the whole pandemic is not because of a novel virus, it's because of a novel virus traveling through a very unhealthy population. So the elephant in the room is that the baseline general health in many Western populations was already in a horrendous state to begin with. And it goes on to say, it's well known in the medical literature that excess body fat induces immune dysregulation and chronic inflammation, which is directly linked to the cytokine storm that is responsible for acute respiratory distress syndrome that is seen in influenza and other respiratory viruses. So this is not a new thing. We have seen this over the years as well. And so other respiratory viruses include coronaviruses. And in the past, we saw this with the SARS virus. And now this is the SARS-CoV-2 virus that we're experiencing right now. And so the other thing that was interesting is that obese adults actually shed the influenza A virus 42% longer than obese individuals. So part of the reason why this is spreading further and faster also may be that the percent of our population that is obese is contributing to that. Another thing that it was mentioned, which I thought was very interesting, is that by looking at obesity, one way we measure that is through the body mass index, meaning measuring the percentage of body fat compared to your overall weight. And a lot of that is going to be tied to your waist circumference. If you put a measuring tape around your waist and measure that, that's one of the indicators of being at risk for chronic metabolic disease, which can then affect many people. However, what they also discovered is that there are people that may have normal weight, but also are still suffering from chronic metabolic disease. So they have something that's called sarcopenic obesity. And what that means is, if you've heard, let's unpack that word a little bit here. If you've heard of the word osteopenia, which is thought of as early signs of moving towards osteoporosis or a loss of bone density, there's something else called sarcopenic or sarcopenia, which is loss of muscle density. It's wasting muscles. It's those flabby muscles that just aren't vibrant and robust. And so we often see, for example, in the elderly, that their muscles have wasted away. Now, the reason why we don't hear about sarcopenia very often, we hear a lot more about osteopenia, is that they have drugs that they've made to use to try and treat osteopenia or specifically osteoporosis. But there's no drugs that you can use that is going to increase muscle density. The only thing that does that is exercise. And so when people have sarcopenic obesity, it means that their body, their weight is normal, but it's because they have so little muscle mass that when you calculate what their weight is, they still have a high rate of fat in the percentage in relation to what their overall weight is. And so it can be you can miss it because here's somebody standing in front of you that doesn't look like they're obese, but it's something called sarcopenic obesity. So it's basically what you would call a skinny fat person. And I think this is important because these folks also are metabolically unhealthy. And it turns out that, as this article goes on to say, that only 12% of American adults are considered metabolically healthy, right? So, wow, that's a very small percentage. And only 30% of the normal weight people are metabolically healthy, only 30%. So when we look at this idea of people that are skinny fat, right, it's important to recognize that they also may be at risk. And so that's the other reason why the name of this workshop is not how to lose 15 pounds in 15 weeks. It is specifically how to get 15 pounds healthier in 15 weeks. Because if we actually could have somebody that is a skinny fat person, and we could have them build muscle, which is going to increase their weight, and also transition that away from the fat that they have, it means that they could lose 7 pounds of fat and gain 8 pounds of muscle, and they'd be the exact same weight as when they started. So that's why we really want to talk about getting 15 pounds healthier, not just losing 15 pounds of fat or weight overall. Okay, so again, I just want to emphasize the importance of recognizing that. And then it goes on to say that patients that with type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome might have 10 times greater risk of death when they contract COVID-19. So it is not just this idea of being overweight, but also it's the metabolic syndrome that's a problem, right? It's the cardiovascular risk and the diabetes, and overall we call that metabolic syndrome. And finally, it goes on to say that healthcare systems were already overstretched before COVID-19 because of the decades of maldistribution of resources due to too much medicine. It's the way that we have been addressing health in our country, is we're just throwing drugs at any kind of health concern. And then they go on to say that the root cause of diet-related disease is the unavoidable junk food environment. And what's happening is people are eating in an unhealthy way, not exercising properly. They're becoming obese, which is then leading to a lot of other health concerns. And so if we could actually get people on track to getting healthier and addressing the downstream problems, rather than just throwing drugs at cardiovascular disease or diabetic disease, what if we just got people healthier instead? So I want to just unpack this concept as well, because I think it's going to help you understand the whole rest of our program. Remember that there are 3 different styles of healthcare, right? The first one is what we call treatment of disease. And really what we mean by that is that's simply trying to get you so you don't die, right? Just to help you survive. That's all that is. And so we should actually, instead of calling that healthcare, we should call that sick care, right? That's the lowest level of healthcare is sick care. Wait till you're sick and then just try to manage it so you don't die. The next level is preventing disease. But again, it's only looking at keeping you alive, right? And having you just survive. And right now, washing your hands, social distancing, stay at home, and pray for a vaccine, all that is that level of healthcare that is all about preventing disease. But there's a third tier to this, and that third tier is health promotion, building health. And that's what nobody's talking about. So if we could actually transition people into thinking about building health, oh my goodness, we would solve a lot of problems, not just this current problem that we have. So this article finishes up by saying that if we were to implement policies in our nation that were going to get people healthier, then we may not just save hundreds and potentially thousands of lives around the world in the coming months, but given the high likelihood of another international viral pandemic in the next decade, a healthy population and a subsequently more manageable health service will be much better equipped to handle what would then be a smaller mortality peak on the next occasion. Hopefully, if and when that occurs, a lockdown will not be required. You see, the lockdown happened because we were afraid the hospitals would be overloaded, right? Because there are so many unhealthy people that were at higher risk. What if we just get everybody healthier? Then the next time the virus comes through, yes, it's still going to affect some people, but not as many, so the hospitals won't be overloaded, so we don't have to lock down the entire world, right? I hope that helps you make sense of the importance of this. So now let's look at some other brutal facts specifically about the obesity epidemic that has been going on long before the pandemic occurred, just recently with COVID-19. So this present obesity epidemic, basically it is a problem because it's being caused by poor diet and inadequate physical activity. That is the thing that's causing it. And the problem is that we're emphasizing the downstream risk factors, such as the high blood pressure, the cholesterol, the high sugar levels, that these are not the root causes of obesity. These are the consequences of obesity. And so we're going to just review this compelling data that it's a bigger problem than just aesthetics, right? It's not just that you look fat and you don't like how you look. The problem is that it's equated to having poor health. So we want to just recognize that obesity is the linchpin to chronic disease. And we want to recognize also that the same factors that lead to obesity are the ones that are also leading to cancer, right? And so this is really a concern. The same lifestyle choices leading to obesity also are leading to cancer. And we also know that it's the same thing that's related to diabetes as well. So nearly 90% of individuals with type 2 diabetes are overweight. We know that there's a relationship there. So obesity has these downstream conditions. And whether it's being like obviously obese or being skinny fat as well, right? We still see those links to heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. So it's, again, it's not just about how you look, it's what's happening to your health. Fat equals sick. You have to understand this. This is the truth about it. And although we have been normalizing obesity, let's just set the record straight here. What people are currently doing is not working because we are looking in our population that it's not working because we can just look at the stats. And remember, it's all behavior-based. It is behavior-based. We are creating obesity in our lives from the lifestyle choices that we're making. And so if you keep doing what you've been doing, you fill in the blank here, right? You're going to keep getting what you've been getting. So fat is a symptom. Fat is a symptom, or more accurately, it's a sign. Because a symptom is something that you feel. A sign is something that we can measure. So we certainly can measure if you're fat. And we can do that by looking at many different, again, biomarkers. So it's a body signal. And if you don't get this, you don't have a chance of addressing this. You have to get your head around this. That fat is a symptom. And what is it a symptom of? It turns out that it is a symptom of chronic hormone imbalance. Adiposity, meaning extra body fat, is a symptom of chronic hormone imbalance. Hormones and enzymes are what regulate fat storage. So you have to regain your hormone balance through very specific lifestyle changes and choices that directly impact your hormone balance if you ever wish to conquer your weight and health issues, right? So this is a really big thought. I want you to take this in. Obesity is a hormonal problem, and your behaviors matter, because if we understand what behaviors are leading to this hormone imbalance, then we're also going to understand what behaviors are going to correct that hormone imbalance. Because the fat storage mode is in comparison to fat burning mode. And the thing that will determine whether you're in fat burning mode or fat storage mode is your hormone balance. All right, so let's go into this and look at this perfect hormone storm, the perfect storm that is setting us up for moving towards imbalances in our hormones, which lead to chronic overweight or obesity. And the perfect hormone storm is toxic and deficient food choices coupled with energy imbalance, meaning too much of a sedentary lifestyle plus excessive calories, either or both. And then if we take that and we add chronic social stress, lack of sleep, chronic exhaustion, the result is you're going to get weight loss resistance. And that's what the problem is. If it was easy to lose weight, then you'd already have done it. So if you're struggling with losing weight, it's because there's some degree of weight loss resistance that's happening. Okay, so we're going to unpack that so you can really understand what's going on. So there are stressors that are playing out with these other factors, and that's what the perfect storm is, that is really increasing the problems in our culture. Right, so if we look at this idea of weight loss resistance, this is what we're going to find. It's a three-legged stool, and it is coupled with inflammation. So all of those chronic illnesses we talked about, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, those are all linked to inflammation as well. And it turns out that weight loss resistance is specifically linked to inflammation, chronic global inflammation. So if we look at this as a three-legged stool, there are three aspects we want to look at. The microbiome in the gut are a factor here. So it's not just what you're putting into your body as far as the food going in that's the problem. It's how healthy your gut is that food then moves through. So that's a factor. And then your DNA is a factor. So what you inherit does play some role, but we know that there are ways we can upregulate or downregulate our DNA. And so there are ways that we can actually shift how our DNA is expressing that can help us move towards more optimal health, and also how to get a healthier body, an ideal body. And then stressors is the third leg to that stool. So we're going to unpack each one of these. Again, if we're looking at the microbiome in the gut, it's all about healing and sealing the gut. If we're looking at the DNA, we have to fix the cell so that the DNAs are going to express optimally. And then the stressors, we definitely have to address the stress. And so the way that we do that is by looking at ancient healing tools as far as diet, fasting, diet variation, as well as supplementation to help fix the cell. And how do we support the cell in a healthy way? How do we target certain organs and make sure that we are supporting the organs of detoxification as well? And then when we do look at cellular detox, we have to look at stress. How do we address the stress? And that's in 3 dimensions: physical stresses, chemical stresses, and emotional stresses. So let's unpack this a little bit here. First thing, healing and sealing the gut. Okay, check out these 2 mice. First thing you need to know is these 2 mice are genetically identical. They are clones. They are genetically identical, and they are born with a sterile gut. They are born with no microbiome in their gut. What happened with these 2 mice is their guts were seeded with different types of gut bacteria. And so they had different microbiomes that were set up. And then they were fed the same amount of food. Okay? They were fed the exact same amount of food. They had the same genetic makeup. The only thing that was different was the microbiome, the gut, the bugs in their gut. One of them had a healthy, balanced microbiome where the good guys and the bad guys existed together, but there were enough good guys to keep the bad guys in check. The other one had an imbalance in the microbiome where they had a lot more of the unhealthy microbiome, and that was the obese mouse. Isn't that amazing? So this helps us to understand how important it is to heal and seal the gut. We have to heal and seal the gut if we're going to actually make progress with weight loss resistance. We have to get the gut healthier. All right. And so when we do this, then that's when we're going to cover ground. So what are some of the factors for healing and sealing the gut? First, we want to protect the gut, and we want to stop tearing the gut up. So there are certain foods that a lot of people don't know about. They think these are healthy foods, but if you have weight loss resistance and you're struggling and you don't have a healthy gut, you better pay attention to this. So there are foods that have something in them called lectins. So I want you to just take in this idea of lectins. And lectins are foods that are, lectin is a chemical that a plant will produce in order to protect itself because it's a poison. This lectin is a poison. It tears up your gut. So plants have them because they want to protect themselves from being eaten. And so many animals know, don't eat this food or it's going to make you sick. And so the foods that have lectins are the nightshades. Nightshades would include potatoes, also peppers and tomatoes. Those are the classic nightshades. Eggplant would also be in the nightshade family. The other foods that contain lectins are beans, peanuts, cashews, grains. Grains contain lectins, right? They want to stop other animals from eating them so that they can plant their seed, right, and grow more grain, right? And so if you eat the grain before it gets planted and sprouted, right, then it's not going to be able to reproduce. So lectins are the compounds that plants use to stop predators from eating them by poisoning them. I want to assure you that chocolate, coffee, and olive oil do not have lectins. They're all safe. Good news, right? All right, so that's important. The other thing that will harm your gut are things that destroy your microbiome. So antibiotics, that's probably obvious. You know that if it's going to kill, antibiotics are going to destroy bacteria, they can also destroy the healthy gut bacteria that you have and set up an incredible imbalance in your gut that actually paves the way for the bad gut microbiome to proliferate. So antibiotics wipe out the good bugs as well as the bad bugs. And they also will wipe out a bug called H. pylori. Now, H. pylori, sometimes it has been linked to being related to ulcers. And of course, if it is out of control and you have something that is irritating the gut lining, like stress, right, then you can see that it may be a factor. But otherwise, H. pylori is specifically in your stomach for a reason. Because H. pylori is the bacteria that tells your brain when it is satiated by triggering ghrelin to stop. And ghrelin is one of the hormones that triggers the brain that tells us when it's the appetite hormone. So it keeps us eating. It gives us a healthy appetite. But if nothing's there to trigger it to stop, then we just keep eating. So H. pylori is very important. If you find that you are having trouble with portion control, it may be that you have wiped out your H. pylori, and so there's nothing there to tell you to stop eating. So bad bugs in your gut will also communicate to the brain and make you crave what those bad bugs want. So if the bad bugs want sugar and junk food, then they actually are telling your brain to go after that, and that's why you can crave these things. So we have to get the gut healthier. And sometimes if you take an antibiotic, sometimes it can take up to 2 years to reestablish the same healthy diversity that is going to, again, promote healthier choices. Oops, there's my cat. Okay. So you're recording this at home if you didn't notice. So we know that Splenda is also one of the substances that is going to destroy your healthy gut flora. 50% of your good gut flora can be destroyed simply by Splenda. So here are people, look at this, they're trying to make healthy choices, and so they're using Splenda to try to avoid the sugar, but unfortunately, it can actually it can cause them to gain weight because they're destroying the microbiome. So make sure that you understand you want to stop the Splenda because it's destroying your microbiome, the diversity in your microbiome. Now, one of the one of the healthy gut bugs is, as we said, it's H. pylori, and one of the unhealthy ones. Remember the obese mice that we looked at? These mice, the bug that they populated in the intestine of the obese mouse was something called Methanobacter smithii. And so if we look at what we need to do to weed and seed and feed the gut, we have to weed the gut of the bad bacteria. So here are some of the bad bacteria. Clostridium difficile. There's that Methanobacter smithii. Also some other ones, Campylobacter. But the good bacteria includes E. coli. So many people hear, oh, E. coli, food poisoning. Well, you actually do want to have E. coli as a good bacteria. You just want it in the right areas of your body. Bifidobacteria, lactobacillus, maybe you recognize that from yogurt, has those cultures. But there's many more that we want as well. So yogurt is the poorest use of trying to feed your gut, the seeding the gut with the healthy bacteria. Yogurt's the poorest because it has the smallest diversity. There are other foods that have a much greater diversity that we're going to show you here. So if we look at weeding, seeding, and feeding the gut, what do we need to do to feed the gut? So we want to wipe out the bad ones. We want to seed our gut with the good ones. So a healthy probiotic is one of the ways that we can also seed the gut. And then feeding the gut with the things that are going to feed the microbiome. And so the things that feed the good guys are things like jicama, onions, leeks, asparagus, dandelion greens, Jerusalem artichokes, fantastic ways of the fiber in that. Really, the gut is so happy with that. Garlic is another one. Chicory root, also known as inulin. If you ever had the coffee substitutes that people use, oftentimes what they're using for that is inulin or chicory. And then also acacia powder. And so what some of these things also do, besides feeding the gut, is they also have the prebiotics and they're antifungal. So a prebiotic is something that feeds the healthy gut microbiome. Probiotics are what the actual gut organisms are, and the prebiotic is what feeds those healthy gut organisms. But some of these also are antifungal, so it means that they're going to starve the bad bugs and also wipe out the unhealthy funguses. So it's not just simply making sure that you feed the good bugs, but also take out the bad bugs in order to achieve this balance that we want. All right, so now I want to just talk about this other idea of fixing the cell. So I'm going to just show you a drawing I made of the cell, right? I'm such an artist. I mean, I actually is pretty close to round, so that's pretty good for freehand, right? So what we see here is a cell, and a cell simply is a membrane that is holding within it the components of the cell, and some of those components include the DNA and the mitochondria. The mitochondria are the energy factories of the cell. So every cell, in order to perform whatever function it has, it needs to have energy. So you have mitochondria in every single cell, and the ATP is the way we measure that energy. So the mitochondria generate ATP that the cell then burns in order to generate energy. And then once it burns that, it has a byproduct, which is the debris that you need to get rid of. And so in order for the cell to function properly, it needs to have nutrients coming in, and it needs to have toxins going out. But it also needs something that is going to stimulate the DNA. Now the DNA it's not the brain of the cell. The DNA is the blueprint. That's all it is the blueprint. And there are things that will trigger the DNA to then express a variation in the blueprint so that certain parts of that blueprint are being expressed and certain parts are being dormant. So when we talk about upregulating and downregulating a cell, or upregulating and downregulating a gene, what that means is that depending on what the environment is, our body will want to express the DNA differently. And so the perfect example of this would be that if you look back 40,000 years and you look at our ancestors, if you had a gene that would allow you to store fat more easily, then if a famine came along, then you would upregulate that gene so that you would survive. Right? Now, in our modern day, we have people that say, oh, my whole family is obese, obesity runs in my family. We just look at a cupcake and we gain weight, right? So those folks, maybe they do have a gene that makes it much easier for them to store fat. And that's a fantastic gene to be passed down from all of your long line of ancestors, where it stayed in your genome because it had an advantage, right? But it was the environment that would trigger that gene to express itself. So the only time our ancestors would have upregulated that gene is if a famine was happening, and then it would allow them to survive that famine, and that's why it would be passed on. And so again, it's the environment that is going to trigger that gene to express. So there are many things around the cell that come up to the cell, and the cell membrane has receptors in it. And the receptors are like a lock and a key. So when a certain chemical comes floating along, it has to find its receptor. It has to fit into that receptor. Once it fits into the receptor, now a signal is then transmitted into the cell to trigger the DNA so that the DNA is going to express in a certain way. So, for example, we know vitamin D is important. In fact, vitamin D is one of the most important factors for having a good outcome if you're exposed to COVID-19. The research is showing that already, right? So vitamin D comes along and it has to find the receptor. But if the cell membrane is inflamed, if there is inflammation in the cell membrane, it can distort and block those receptors, so that you have to have a lot more of vitamin D than you usually would need in order to just get through and try to get some of that so that it triggers the cell to do certain functions. In the absence of the vitamin D, the cell will not perform certain functions. So our immune system cells require vitamin D in order to work right. Think of people that their obesity is related to a sluggish thyroid, right? That's one of the factors for hypothyroidism, is to gain weight. And so T3 is one of the thyroid hormones that has to lock into the receptor. And if there's inflammation in the cell membrane, that's going to interfere with the ability for that hormone, the thyroid hormone, to trigger the cell to do what it needs to do. And we can look at lots of other things that float around the cell that are going to trigger that cell's function. Insulin, right? So we hear of insulin resistance as one of the factors of metabolic syndrome. Insulin resistance means you have plenty of insulin around, it just can't get into the cell. And so you need more and more of it to try and get that cell to function in the way you need it to, right? We also can see vitamin C would be a factor, or lectins would be a factor. And leptins are one of the hormones that are associated with our appetite and satiation. So I'm going to unpack that in a moment. So I hope you understand now that fixing the cell is one of the reasons that people need to address if they are experiencing weight loss resistance. And so I actually have a tool I'm going to share with you of how you can figure out whether or not you may have cellular inflammation. Okay, moving forward, what are those tests that actually measure cellular inflammation? One of the tests that I love is a Neuro-Toxic Questionnaire. So if you go to my website, wellspringcls.com, go to that website, you're going to, if you go to the services tab, and there's a drop-down menu there, and there's a tab called True Cellular Detox. If you go there, there's a way that you can submit a request, and we'll send you a neurotoxic questionnaire that will help you uncover whether or not you have a higher risk of being so toxic that you could be causing cellular inflammation. There's another test that I like, which is called the brain span test. This is a very unique test that's phenomenal. It's got so much research behind it as well. And what it does is it couples together doing a blood spot test that looks at whether or not you have high cellular inflammation. And then it couples that with cognitive assessment, because we know that if you actually have an unhealthy cellular inflammation, it can affect brain function as well. And so I love this test. It's amazing. And so that's why it's called brain span. But it actually is a very effective, very quick test that will help us uncover whether or not you have cellular inflammation. And that could be one of the factors that you need to address if you're struggling with getting your ideal body. And we actually have a special going this month for brain span, where it's usually $121, but if you get it from us, we are selling it at $99 this month. So you're going to save some money, and hopefully that's going to motivate you to take the action steps you need to take so that you can really get that ideal body that you want. Now, if we look at this idea of what does it take to actually heal the membrane, sometimes we have to go much further than what most people think of. So a lot of people think, oh, I have to, if I am overweight, many people understand that that can be related to heavy toxins in the body. And the reason is because a safe place for our body to store toxins is in fat. And so if you have a lot of toxins, your body is not going to want to release that fat, because then it has to then let those toxins run wild in the body where they can affect organs and be poisonous to you. So one of the things that people do is they do a detox. And that word detox is used in so many ways. And many times it's really just talking about the downstream organs, the liver, the kidneys, the lymph, and the bowels. And so certainly there are some very good detox programs for that downstream aspect, but they don't necessarily touch the cellular toxicity that we need to address and the inflammation of the cell membrane. So there's a program that's called TCD, True Cellular Detox, and it has many components to it and many phases to it. So I want to show it to you so you can get the details of it. So it's more than just the downstream organs. It's actually looking at healing the cell membrane and being able to then bring the toxins out of the cell, including heavy metal toxicity and including toxins that can get lodged in the brain as well. The brain has a lot of fat in it, and so that's one of the reasons why the body stores toxins in the brain, of all places, that then really affects our health and our brain health as well. So if we look at the three phases for true cellular detox, first off, it has three components that need to be addressed. The 5 R's are to really, it's all about getting the cell healthy. So removing the source of toxins, understanding where those toxins are coming from, regenerating the cell membrane so it gets healthier and can function better, then restoring the cellular energy, so that's that mitochondrial level, also reducing cellular inflammation overall, and reestablishing methylation, which is the way that we detox the cell. And then opening and supporting the detox pathways, that's the lymph, the kidneys, the liver, and the gut, because you're never going to be able to detox the cell if you don't have the downstream organs that are important for detoxing. But also it's important to have true binders that are going to remove those toxins. So sometimes people do detoxes that it really does liberate the toxins, and then it goes all the way through the body, dumps it into the gut, and then it gets to the large intestine, and we just reabsorb it again. So it just recycles those toxins back into the body. So we have to have true binders that are going to take those toxins, bind to them, and get them all the way out of the body. And so let's look at the 3 phases here. The prep phase is what gets your body, the detox organs, downstream healthier, strengthens those so that you're ready to support the toxin removal. The body phase is where we actually take all of the intracellular area where the toxins are living. That's the area around the outside of the cell. And we start to move those toxins out of that area. So we set up a concentration gradient that makes it much more easily to remove the toxins from the deeper tissue from inside the cell and from the brain. And finally, the brain phase is what really cleans at that deeper bioaccumulated neurotoxin level that really leads to the most symptoms that incapacitate your health, getting to that deeper level. And then it just moves everything out of the body. So if you are interested in that, again, just go to the website, wellspringcls.com, go to the services tab. The drop down will take you to True Cellular Detox, and there you can get started learning more about that. So what are the ways that we need to regain control of your hormones? First off, these are the 6 pieces that need to be addressed. So food quality is key. And when we talk about food quality, what we mean is many people think I just need to put calories in as fuel to burn. And food quality means that we have to look closely at what else is going in along with those calories. So if we are using food that has, for example, glyphosate, Roundup in it, if you're eating genetically modified foods or foods that have been sprayed with glyphosate, that will tear up your gut and set you up for leaky gut. And when you have leaky gut, it's going to affect leaky brain as well. But also you're going to get a lot of autoimmune diseases that happen because the wrong things are getting into the bloodstream. So the food quality is very, very important. Food quantity, of course, also is important. And so we have to get the hormones controlled properly so that the hormones that regulate your appetite are working properly. Now, it is interesting when we talk about food quantity. Nowadays, we are eating so much more than our ancestors did, and it's the quality of the food as well. But even if we just go back a couple hundred years, one of the things you can look at is the size of the plates that were used, right? If you look at the 200 years ago, the size of a dinner plate, it was probably what we would have called the size of an appetizer plate. And so they would load up that plate with food and they'd clean that plate, right? And so that's also programmed into us to join the Clean Plate Club. Well, nowadays, we have these giant plates and we put food on it, we load that up, and we still have it programmed into us to join the Clean Plate Club. So simply changing your plate size may be one of the tools that you use in order to regulate food quantity. Also, we want to look at food rhythms. So not just how much and what we're eating, but how often are we eating? And also what kinds of foods we're eating. Now recognize that our ancestors would have eaten in what we would call a paleo rhythm. And we're going to unpack this idea of what does it mean to eat paleo. But just think about our ancestors and you'll get the idea right away. So here they would be going about their business trying to get food. And so on the days they were lucky, they would go out for a hunt and they would have a kill and then they would eat that kill. So let's say they go out, today's a lucky day, we got a rabbit. First thing they do is they eat the brain. Next thing they do is eat the organs. Then they would get through the flesh so they could get to the bone marrow, right? Those are the things they loved, full of really healthy fat and really concentrated nutrients. The organs have concentrated nutrients in them. So they would get nutrient density by eating that. If it was a bigger kill, they'd share it with others, members of their family, of their tribe, right? And then when that was done, until they had the next kill, they would be vegan, right? So there was a lot of plants that were in their diet, but there was also a paleo rhythm where they would eat meat for a few days and then they'd be vegan for a few days until the next kill. So a paleo rhythm doesn't necessarily mean eating meat every single day, but it also doesn't mean being vegetarian or vegan. It's difficult, and I'm going to cover that in a moment. If that's what your choice is, I'm going to cover that. The importance of factors you need to consider. All right? And then the other thing is food rhythms. Think about how our ancestors would have eaten. They wouldn't have woke up and then had food right there. And then they wouldn't have eaten all day long, right? They would have had to move to eat. They would have gone out hunter-gatherer, right? They would have to exerted energy in order to gather the food they needed or to hunt the food they needed. So it might have been the middle of the day before they got their first meal. And so when we look at this idea of fasting or intermittent fasting, I mean, there might have been days during famine when they didn't eat at all, right? So there's rhythms to how we're eating, and there's a lot of diversity. Food variation is very important as well. So food rhythms is an important factor that we're going to coach people on here in the practice as well. Then we want to look at activity levels. As we said, our ancestors, they would have been moving in order to eat, right? And then also social stress. So our ancestors would have had very little social stress because they would have known exactly where they stand. They would have been friendly, because if you're not friendly, you're kicked out of the tribe, right? So all these things that we think of as being human, right? All the things of being kind and compassionate and empathetic, that would have meant you would have survived. You would have been part of the tribe, right? Being accountable means you're a part of the tribe. So nowadays, we have so much tremendous social stress. And this whole thing of isolation right now is driving unhealthy behavior, because it is not normal. It is not human to be away from other humans, right? Being isolated meant suicide, right? Genetically in our ancestors. So social stress is an incredibly important factor when we look at our hormone levels. And our sleep patterns also would have been important, right? We would have gone to sleep when the daylight was gone. We would have slept through the night while it was dark, and when the light came, we would have woken up. So sleep patterns are important. So let's now unpack each one of these. And before we do that, I want to also just share another patient in the practice. So this was somebody that came in. Actually, we met them at an expo, a 50+ expo. And so when Chris came into the practice, he and his wife came in, and they understood the idea of, oh, it sounds like it's a good idea to just get your body healthy. So they wanted to start working together. And so we had our full new patient exam with them. We uncovered that there were some health concerns, and we got to work. And in the process, what we discovered is that Chris really didn't like vegetables. And so his diet was actually a pretty unhealthy diet, where he wasn't eating a lot of vegetables. And so we actually solved that for him. We showed him a great solution of a smoothie with a particular, greens first was the one that worked for him. And so we started to get vegetables in a very delicious way. And so he was getting adjusted, so the stress levels were coming down as well. His nervous system was getting healthier, his organs were getting healthier. And so without even trying, he actually dropped weight and got much more fit. And it wasn't that he was inactive either. And so one of the things he liked to do was to play hockey. And I think he coached hockey, or he was a referee for hockey. And so when the season starts up again, he shows up on the ice. And one of his colleagues there looked at him and hadn't seen him, since the last season. And he says, "Whoa!" He says, "Who's that Jenny Craig over there?" And of course, Jenny Craig is one of the weight loss programs that people can use. And what he recognized was, wow, Chris's physique, his body composition had completely changed. And it was simply because we were getting his gut healthier and we were getting his body healthier, right, with what was going into his body. So again, that was a big success. And that was, again, not necessarily his goal coming into care, but that was what happened when he just got healthier. All right, so what are the top 5 dieting lies that we can encounter? Very important for us to look at this. So we see weight problems, they run in my family. Oh, just eat less and you'll lose weight. I'll just work it off at the gym, right? Oh, calories are calories. And sleep has nothing to do with it. Let's unpack each one of these. The first one, weight problems. They run in my family. Doc, you don't understand. There's nothing I can do about this. It's just the way it is. Okay, let's really correct that. Here's the first thing I say to people that say, well, weight problems run in my family. I say, the problem is not that weight problems run in your family. The problem is that nobody is running in your family. You got that, right? It's lifestyle. It's lifestyle. So let's check this out here. When we look at genes and body composition, there are 3 factors that will determine what your inherited genes and body composition, how they're going to express. So there's the genes, but then there's environment and lifestyle. So as we said, there are 2 things that will upregulate or downregulate genes. and that's environment and lifestyle. So when we look at the genes that are upregulated and downregulated, right, again, it's going to be environment and lifestyle. So what does that mean? Well, first off, let's look at this idea of what has happened over time. In 1990, this is showing the obesity trends. You can see the colors here. So the pale blue is a very small percentage of people in that state that were obese. Now we fast forward to 1998 and whoa, things are changing, right? There's more percentage of people that are obese. And now we look at 2006 in this particular study, and there's a lot more people that are obese. And so this is important to look at because we see that if we ask the question, what changed here? What exactly was it that changed, right, during this time period? Was it the genes that changed? No, because genes don't change that fast. Our genes have not changed in 40,000 years. So something else changed, and that would have been environment. The environment changed. Our lifestyles changed. And our lifestyle is all about how you eat, how you move, and how you think. It's all about our environment, right? It's our relationships, our strategies, and our choices. Those are the things that will determine what's going to happen to our genes, how they get upregulated or downregulated. So again, if we look at genes and body composition, let's face it, the media is telling us that skinny is the new sexy, so everybody thinks skinny is the only way that you need to look. But no, that's not true. Healthy comes in all shapes and sizes. So every person that's represented here could actually be a healthy weight because it's a healthy body composition. And so when we talk about getting 15 pounds healthier, we want to recognize that everybody has a different body composition. And it's really about the percentage of body fat and the abdominal measurements that we want to look at. So when we look at this, getting 15 pounds healthier and body composition, it's really about the amount of lean tissue versus fatty tissue. That's what, when we talk about BMI. And so there are different ranges. Let me just see if I have the slide here. Okay, I'm just going to describe this to you. The optimum ranges for women for body composition. Again, if you're looking at different measurements. So for the scale, just looking at the scale, body weight, that's the worst biomarker to use. Again, because you could be skinny fat, right? So you could have a high percentage of body fat to your lean tissue. So I don't like the scale as a tool to use. But if we look at abdominal measurement, literally taking a tape measure and putting it around your waist, we know that for women, obesity is going to start at the level of, if you have greater than 39 inches, 39.5 inches is where you're starting to get into obesity. And for men, it's greater than 35 inches. If we look at our body fat percentage, the BMI, the body fat composition, for women, it should be higher. And so it should be, an acceptable amount is 25 to 31%. But once you get above 31%, now you're running into obesity. And for men, it's getting above 25% body fat. All right, so those are just some tools you can use for your biomarkers. Now, here's the second lie that we come across, which is, oh, just eat less and you will lose weight. And that actually is not true. It is not sustainable to do that. Food deprivation is a fail here, right? And the fails for food deprivation are that it is unsustainable, right? It's the same idea as I'm just going to hold my breath until I die. It's impossible, right? Because we have this driving force. Life is always trying to move towards life, right? We have this living motivation in our body that is always driving ourselves to move towards health and move towards life. So if we try to hold our breath, we can't do it. We'll pass out and then we'll stop breathing, right? And so it's actually unsustainable. If we look at the idea of just not eating, it's also unsustainable. Our bodies will change our metabolism in order to keep us alive as much as possible. Do people starve to death? Yes, because there are limitations of physical matter. But that is not the way to lose weight, is to starve, right? Because then you're getting more and more unhealthy. So it is unsustainable. It will make metabolic changes that will make you more and more efficient. So when you're in starvation mode, you are doing everything you can to store fat, to hold on to that fat. And so instead of helping you move into fat burning mode, starvation or food deprivation is going to actually lead to driving you to fat storage mode. And when we're in survival mode, right, we're trying to stay alive at all costs. And the problem with it is, again, it's unsustainable. People will fail after a while. Next thing you know, they're eating again, eating the things that are unhealthy, and then they're going through a yo-yo. And we know that that's one of the most unhealthy things to do over a lifetime, is to have that yo-yo going up and down, up and down, up and down. But what is interesting is that fasting can be a tool to get your body healthier as long as you do it in a healthy way. And I just want to blow your mind with the possibilities here. There was a 27-year-old Scotsman who was obese. He weighed 456 pounds, right? He went on a water fast, meaning he did not eat anything. He only drank water. And he did it for over a year, 382 days. He lost 276 pounds. And when he got to his target weight of 180 pounds, he never gained it back. He started eating again, and he never gained it back. Now, he was under medical supervision while he did this. And what they found is that all his nutrition markers remained normal, right? The things that we measure as you're eating and the things that we want to be healthy nutritional markers in your blood, they all remain normal. His electrolytes even eventually normalized and became stable without any supplementation. His depression lifted, his neurotransmitters and his hormones all became normal. So he actually rebooted his hormones so they were in a balanced state. Isn't that amazing? So again, he was being monitored very carefully. And so there are very effective ways that people can fast. The True Cellular Detox program actually goes into teaching you those healthy ways. Okay, calories are calories, another lie. People are looking at just counting calories, just trying to reduce their caloric intake. It's the same thing as food deprivation, right? It's not going to work because there are different qualities to calories. There are some calories that are healthy and some that are unhealthy. And so we have to actually understand that. Empty calories, what they do is they take up room nutritionally for the nutritionally dense foods. So if you eat a lot of empty calories, you build up your stomach, and you haven't put the healthy calories in that have lots of nutrition and supplements in them, or not supplements, but healthy vitamins and minerals in them that your body needs to function properly. And also the unhealthy calories are probably going to be filled with toxins as well. So it's not true that calories are calories. There are different types of calories, and they contain chemicals that are going to impact your physiology and impact your hormones as well. So remember that when we put food in, we put in for 3 different reasons. The first reason is to provide the protein building blocks for our tissues in our body. So we have to rebuild our tissues on a regular basis. We need the healthy proteins to do that. And then we need fuel to burn. And there are different types of fuel. Fat is a fuel and carbs are a fuel. And if we're putting in just a lot of carb calories, then we're going to keep being a carb burner instead of a fat burner. And then the third reason to put in foods is for the nutrients that we need, the vitamins and the minerals, the prebiotics, the things that feed our gut flora that are not necessarily feeding our body tissue. Right, and so definitely we want to look closely at the quality of the food that we're eating and the quality of those calories. Okay, so we've covered this impact of toxic and deficient foods here, and let's look a little bit more at what we've been programmed to think. So here we have this building a pyramid here. This is what the classic food pyramid is that the FDA is recommending. First, let me tell you where this came from. All they did was back in, I think it was in the 1920s or 30s, they just looked at what are 25-year-old men, quote, healthy men eating. That's what they did. That's all they did is look at that. And so they were eating a lot of carbs, a lot of fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables were next, meat and dairy were next, and then the sugars and the oils were next. Well, I got to tell you that this is not the healthiest pyramid to use. In fact, if you are using grains as your base, carbs as your base, then you are setting yourself up to move towards obesity. And obesity is the linchpin to chronic disease. So let's now look at what would a healthy diet look like. Here it is. So if we look at again, go back to our ancestors, wild hunter-gatherers, right? So high carbohydrate, low, and the carbohydrates would have been vegetables, fruits and vegetables, right? Low to moderate, good fats, high protein, no refined foods, no dairy, no sugar, right? That's what we would have been eating. What does the industrialized modern human look like? It's going to be high refined carbohydrates. It's those white foods, right? It's the sugars and the carbs, right? The flour, the wheat. And we've been programmed to think that low fat is the way to go, right? And it turns out that that is not the healthy way to go. That just means more and more sugar, more and more carbs. And we need fat for our hormones to create our hormones. We need fat for our brain, right? We can't reproduce if we don't have healthy fats in our body. So infertility is one of the consequences of low fat. And also low protein. No, don't eat red meat, right? And really, a lot of those studies were coming from unhealthy animals that were being eaten to make us think that we shouldn't eat meat. But if we eat it from healthy animals, then we're going to get healthy vitamins, nutrients from those animals. And then sugary foods, right? We hear people say, oh, I don't eat a lot of sugar. Everything in moderation. Well, there's so much sugar right now in the conventional diet that in moderation means you are moving towards obesity. You are moving towards chronic illness. So again, this modern industrialized human, right, is in trouble. And basically, the modern human would be the same as if we have animals in captivity and we don't feed them in their healthy way, right? We look at a giraffe in captivity, might look something like this. If we were feeding giraffes in captivity the way that we are feeding ourselves in our modern world, this is what we would get. So we have animals in captivity, and we have studied what their healthy diet is in the wild, and we try to recreate that. And so if we don't recreate it, we just feed them what we're eating in the industrialized modern diet, this is what we would get. And I got to tell you, sheltering in place is moving people even faster in the wrong direction, right? Because we take out activity, right? All right, so poor food quality is going to be a fail as well. If we have toxic choices, right, like things with glyphosate in it, the genetically modified foods, the conventional foods have a lot of glyphosate in them. The empty calories that come with poor food choices, right? And remember, sugars and grains are going to be a poor food choice. Even if they're organic, they are going to drive carb burning, and they're going to drive that glycemic imbalance. That's going to also maintain that hormone imbalance. So poor food quality choices mean they're toxic, they're deficient foods. It's not just about the calories, as we said, and it can create deficiencies where we're filling ourselves with the nutrient deficient calories instead of the healthy choices. All right, and so now if we look at the hormonal impact, so these are the hormones that are going to be playing out and the ones that we want to pay attention to when we're talking about getting your ideal body. So losing the unhealthy weight and gaining the healthy weight as far as the muscle. So insulin and glucagon, those are hormones that work synergistically. Insulin is what takes sugar out of the bloodstream, and glucagon is what puts sugar back into the bloodstream. So if we are active and working out, we want to have fuel to burn. So our body will take, for example, fat, and the glucagon will turn it into sugar that we can burn as another way of having a fuel that we can burn fast. And so insulin, again, takes sugar out of the bloodstream. So if we have a lot of sugar and carbs in our diet, then we're going to keep storing that as fat. And the insulin is what helps us to do that. And then if we have insulin resistance, it means we have more and more insulin, but it's not able to do its job properly. And so then we can get the high sugar in the bloodstream, which can be dangerous to our body. Now, if we look at the other two hormones, leptin and ghrelin that you see there, so they also work synergistically. And so leptin is the hunger suppression hormone, It's the satiation hormone. It's what suppresses our appetite. So when we've eaten enough, that should trigger leptin to then suppress our appetite. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. And so if you have ghrelin out of control, then you're going to be hungry all the time. So literally there can be an imbalance in these two hormones that can just interfere with your eating habits and your eating rhythm. All right, and then finally, cortisol is also a very important hormone factor here. So cortisol is what we think of as the stress hormone. Cortisol is also the hormone that we use when we're active. And so when we look at for example, our sleep cycles, I'm going to show you how cortisol plays out there. But cortisol essentially is the stress hormone. We need it a certain amount for activities. If we don't have cortisol, we have no motivation or energy levels. Our energy levels will tank if we don't have cortisol working properly. All right, so we want all of these to be in a healthy balance, and food can create hormonal reactions in the body. So that is the other factor of food, is it creates hormonal reactions. So if you are eating a lot of the carbs, you're going to be triggering a lot of the insulin. And if you are eating also the unhealthy foods, it's going to interfere with these hormone balances that are all working synergistically. So remember, insulin is the fat storage hormone, and elevated insulin is what locks you into fat storage mode. So when you're eating lots of carbs, you are triggering the insulin, which is locking you into fat storage mode. You're either going to be burning fat or you're going to be storing fat. And so insulin is what makes you stay in the fat storage mode. The things that cause elevated insulin are your food choices, the sugars and refined carbohydrates, right? And so the fast carbohydrates, we think that fast food has a lot of these sugars and refined carbohydrates. Dairy also can elevate insulin, especially when it's fat-free dairy, because the only thing that's left is the sugar. Energy imbalances, excess calories. So having too many calories, literally overeating, too big of a plate, or having the satiation and hunger hormones out of balance with overeating is part of it, but also under moving, right? So if you're eating more calories than you're burning off because you're not moving enough, sedentary living can also cause elevated insulin, right? So we need to pay attention to all of that. If we now look at this idea of what is a glycemic index, right? So they created the glycemic index by measuring what happens when you put glucose into your body, and then over time what happens in the blood. So when you eat it, it spikes and goes right into the blood, so the blood sugar level spikes right up, and then over time, over 2 hours, then it drops down again. Now, when you eat something like lentils, for example, instead of glucose, it doesn't spike, it goes up in a more graduated way, and then it tones down. So something that has a high glycemic index is something that's going to spike the blood glucose. And when it spikes, then the body says, oh, it's dangerous to have this much glucose or sugar in the blood, and so we're going to now get the insulin to remove it from the blood. So when we spike, and we have high glycemic index, it means we're going to spike the insulin as well. And by the way, when I see this, I have to tell you, when I'm looking at this, I'm saying, oh, here's a spike and then a leveling off. There's a flattening of that curve, right? And so high glycemic is spiked and low glycemic foods are a flattened curve, right? That has a whole new meaning, this idea of flatten the curve, doesn't it? All right, so now let's look at these high glycemic foods. What are they? Okay, check it out. This is what a lot of the breakfast foods are. Do you see this? So what we think of as a typical American breakfast is high carb. And so we're starting the day spiking the glycemic, spiking the insulin. We're setting our bodies up for the rest of the day to have that hormone imbalance that is just going to be driving that metabolic syndrome, the diabetes, the cardiovascular disease. So look at what these things are. And I also want you to notice down the bottom there, this is still things that are high glycemic foods. White bread is a high glycemic food, but guess what? Whole wheat bread is also a high glycemic food. So some people say, oh yeah, I stay away from the white bread. I only eat whole wheat bread. It's still a high glycemic food. You have to pay attention to that. These are the fast carbs, the refined sugars. If we look at the percentage of our diet, right, this is interesting here. 70% of our diet is coming from refined sugars, grains, vegetable oils, and dairy. And so these actually are things that did not even exist for our ancestors, right? These are foods that were virtually unknown to our ancestors. Bread, cereals, rice, pasta, dairy products, refined vegetable oils, alcohol, fatty meats, added salt, refined sugars, except for honey, right? Our ancestors would have had access to some honey, and I'll tell you what, when they found it, they would have gorged on it, but then they wouldn't have had it for a while. So if you are living in a paleo model, and occasionally you're going to gorge on something healthy like raw honey, right? You're going to be able to tolerate that. All right, so very important. And so let's look at how have things evolved over time here. So when we look at overweight and obesity in our culture, we're normalizing it now, right? Have you noticed, like, when I was in my 20s, even in my 30s, when I went to buy a pair of pants, I was a size 8. Nowadays, I'm like a size, I don't know, 4 or 2 or sometimes 0, right? Because they just keep changing it because they're normalizing it, right? You guys notice that, right? So what has happened over the years? Well, here's something interesting. When we look at the obesity rates, there was an inflection point that occurred in the late 1970s, early 1980s. And that inflection point shows that the overweight started to climb. And so what we noticed is that there was a certain number of people that were overweight but not obese, 20 to 74 years. There was that, there was a level that would go along here, but overweight that included obese, from 20 to 74 years old, there was an inflection point. And the thing that happened was, that was when we introduced high fructose corn syrup into our diets. And so that is a problem. And so let's look at, even if we go back even further in time, and we look at just over the span of the evolution of the Western diet with the Industrial Revolution, what happened? So what we see is that we had sucrose available to us, even in the early 1800s. And then in the 1840s is when we started to produce feedlot meats, right? And so that was when we started to feed animals, not their normal diet, but corn. We started to feed them corn, which was not necessarily their natural food that they would have eaten. And so what we see happening is that we start to see obesity, like we start to see things going up. And we are also starting to see chronic illnesses, just the inkling of them starting to show up. And then in the 1880s, we started to introduce refined grains. So that was where we started to get the white flour, the white sugar. And then we advanced to refined vegetable oils. So we started to create oils out of things that never should have been oils. Things like corn oil, soybean oil, canola oil were starting to be introduced. And then there was a whole marketing piece that happened in the 1900s to try to demonize the saturated fats. And then we learned how to hydrogenate oils to make Crisco, right? That happened in the 1900s. That was marketed as the healthy fat to use, and our obesity rates just started to increase. And then in the late 1970s, we introduced high fructose corn syrup. That's what happened then. And so we can see how that actually became a problem. All right, and then let's just talk about sugar here. Like, okay, you guys, we just need to talk real about this. This is another elephant in the room. Sugar and the addiction to sugar that people have. So is it okay if we just talk frankly about this, right? First off, let me ask you, does anybody here know any alcoholics, right? We need to learn from them. We need to learn from them that it's an ongoing daily battle, right? And there are things that are not allowed in the house. If you're an alcoholic, you just do not allow alcohol in the house, right? You just don't buy it. The same thing is true if you're going to kick the sugar addiction. If it's in the house, you lose, right? The battle is won at the cash register. Just don't bring it in the house. And if it comes into the house through a guest, have it leave with that guest as well, because otherwise you're just going to finish it up, and there you go. You're back with your addiction again. So it is addictive. Sugar literally is addictive. It raises the dopamine and serotonin levels in the brain the same way that alcohol does. It is an addiction. Alcohols actually try to use it to manage their alcohol addiction, and it will guarantee a relapse if that's the way that they're trying to use it. And yet, remember, an addiction is an addiction. It is substance abuse. It is a slippery slope, not just a little bit either. Like, okay, we know just a little Ben and Jerry's. That's what we're hearing, that little voice. If it's in the house, oh, just a little bit of Ben and Jerry's. You can hear it calling out to you from the freezer. You are going to lose this battle if you've got it in the freezer. Because neither Ben nor Jerry belong in your freezer. You are not strong enough. You just have to know that, right? And so, oh, well, it's just a little something that I do for myself, right? Okay, you're not at home and now you're at work. Oh, I just have this little treat. It's 2 o'clock. No one needs to know. I just got it right here in my drawer, right? I know. Who's guilty here? Who is guilty, right? So are we done with this, right? Can we just be done with this? Sugar is bondage. We need to call it what it is. Sugar is substance abuse. And I want you to really get this, right? It's a chemical that changes your body. It will change your hormone profile. And how you relate to your environment is going to be based on what you're eating. It will change the way you relate to your environment. And it has devastating consequences. So does this mean that I'm saying that you can never have fun? Yes. No, I'm not saying that. Right? You can have fun. Just like our ancestors had a lot of fun with honey when they found it, right? But really, I am a lot of fun, believe it or not, right? But first you have to get it out of your system. You have to control it. And so, and that means you are no longer in bondage to it. So just get real with yourself. If you're in bondage to it, you have to just stop for a while. And then once you've been able to control it, then you can go with healthier versions now and then. Again, but you have to set some standards here. So really do set some standards and stick with it. Now, I definitely had periods in my life where I was addicted to sugar. Yes, indeed. When I was in my college ages, I was the one that stood near the dessert table at a potluck, right? So I know this. I'm speaking frankly with you. I just learned more when I was in chiropractic school. I learned more and I learned more when I was vegetarian. I still ate a lot of sugar because sugar was not meat, right? And so that was the standard I used at that time. It was not healthy. I actually gained weight when I was vegetarian. So then I learned enough and I learned that it wasn't good. And then when I got pregnant, I got real with it. And I just decided, nope, I am done with sugar. That was the thing that motivated me. And so when my daughter was born, there was no sugar happening at all. It was 100% no sugar. That was our standard, 100% no sugar. And what I saw was it was pretty easy. Like we just, like when we went someplace, if a sweet was offered, we just asked, does it have sugar in it? And if the answer was yes, we'd say, no, thanks. Done. It was easy. And I brought my daughter up that way. The answer is boom, done, no. And I would watch other parents that would struggle when they were trying to limit sugar because their kids would always be wondering, is this the time that we get sugar? Is this the time? And if you're just trying to limit sugar, in your head, you're always going to be asking yourself, well, is this the time that I'm going to allow it? So just set a standard, 0, right? And I actually have been known to be quoted that 100% is easy, 90% is hard. Right? And that came from my experience with sugar. So any habit that you're trying to change, just make the decision, 100% standard set, boom, easy to make the decision. So I hope that helps you, right? Because it is a slippery slope. All right, so again, just looking at the top 7 dieting pitfalls, drinking your calories. If you are drinking calories, we don't count things that we drink as though it's something that we eat. I don't know why that happens, but that is true. And so we will think that we didn't eat if we just drank something. So watch out for those too much fruit in your smoothies, that kind of thing. You've just turned them into a not melted sugar sundae bomb, right? Yeah. So fructose is one of the most aggressive things that causes insulin spikes. And so it needs to be in moderation, and best to eat fruit in its whole form where you have all the fiber that comes with it. Dairy also can be a problem because it is acidic. And actually, the higher the dairy amount, the more osteoporosis there is. So you definitely want to pay attention to that. Yogurt, again, it is has probiotic in it, but it's not the best source. And actually, most of the yogurts are loaded with sugar. Also, watch out that many people that are vegetarian, they actually are grainitarians. And that is the biggest problem I have with vegetarianism, is that you replace the healthy meats with grains instead of other healthy proteins. So being vegetarian, it's okay, but it can be incredibly hard. And remember, I think it's fantastic to have a paleo rhythm. So be vegan on some days, and then eat meat on other days so that you make sure you're getting the health benefits that healthy meats can provide. And then just let's look at snacks, okay? Snacks are not treats. Can we just be real with this? Treats are different from snacks. So treats are something you have every once in a while. Snacks are something you may have in between meals, but they have to be healthy. So again, set the standard. Snacks have to be healthy. And so they have to have all the qualities of any kind of healthy meal. Okay, we're going to look at that in a moment too. And then remember, post-exercise binging, no. Don't think you're getting away with anything here. So just look at it. You might go and spin for an hour and you burn off 200 calories, and then you go and have a frappuccino, that's 700 calories. So you have just defeated what you had just done for working out. Also, skipping breakfast can be a problem. And I just say that because some people will go into unhealthy eating habits when they skip breakfast because they get so hungry that they just don't care. And then the next thing you know, they are overeating. So it's important for hormone balance to make sure that when you are eating breakfast that you make sure you get 20 grams of protein in the morning in order to get your satiation hormone set for the rest of the day. So whenever your first breakfast is, make sure that you have healthy proteins and healthy fats in that as well, so that you are not setting yourself for being in carb burning mode. And also, there is value to being incorporating intermittent fasting, which means that you're going to compress the hours in the day that you're eating. So let me just take a little diversion here. When we think of a paleo lifestyle, right, we also might include this idea of intermittent fasting, which means we're not going to eat less, we're going to eat less often. We're going to compress the time that we're eating. And so if we are eating all through the entire day, our digestive system doesn't get a chance to rest. And when we rest our digestion, that's when we actually can get rid of toxins. And also when we can get rid of the unhealthy cells in our body. So if you think of this idea of compressing your eating time down to 6 to 8 hours in a day, rather than waking up and eating and then eating again right before you go to bed, that's where you're eating maybe 16 hours in a day. So think about how you might compress your eating time down to 6 to 8 hours in a day. And you still might eat the exact same amount of food in that time, but it's going to be a healthier way of moving. And it's going to help to set you into a fat burning mode rather than being in a carb burning mode. All right. So again, just be conscious about the breakfast that you're eating. So bonfire correct means unlimited vegetables. And I'm going to explain to you what bonfire correct means. It means paleo correct, essentially, here. So unlimited vegetables, abundant lean and natural meats, some fruit, nuts, and seeds, limited starch, and no sugar. And I talk about this because the Bonfire Health Program is a program that really helps people adopt the healthiest habits of the healthiest people in the world. And so this is one of the things that is being taught in this program is being paleo correct. And it's as part of an overall lifestyle too. So it is not just simply looking at what you're eating, it's also how you're moving and how you're thinking, being paleo correct. So let's look at what paleo is. Our genes are dictating what our nutritional needs are. Our genes were shaped over time by our environment and our experience. So over 40,000 years ago is when our genes were set, and they just haven't changed since then. So again, up to 500 generations ago, we ate the same diet. And for 2.5 million years before that, we ate the same diet. And there's no evidence of degenerative disease in our ancestors from long ago. But the agricultural revolution definitely changed all of that. And so, again, what does it look like? This is what it looked like. Now, if we go back 500 years, it was good carbs, such as the unlimited non-starchy vegetables, no refined grains, plenty of fruit and berries, relatively high in animal protein, moderate amounts of good fats, high in fiber, high in potassium, low in sodium, having a net alkaline load, and being rich in phytochemicals, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. What does the zone diet look like? Again, it's another diet model that I think actually works well. It's similar to paleo in food choices and recommendations. And it would be looking at 40% carbs, again, healthy carbs, 30% proteins, and 30% fat. just kind of using the rule of thirds is how the zone diet works. So again, anytime you're eating anything, including a snack, any meal, including a snack, you're going to ask the question, where are the plants, where are the fats, and where are the proteins? And where are the healthy plants, the healthy fats, and the healthy proteins? So what would that look like if you were having meals with these kinds of things? And can I just point something out here? I see tomatoes here. Remember, tomatoes do have the lectins in them. So if you're struggling, you may want to not include the lectin foods. And so here, what are we looking at here? An omelet with veggies and sausage. Yum. You may want to not include the red peppers that are in there. And here we have eggs, avocado, and bacon. And there's the tomato on the side, right? So if you're eating really healthy, then your body may actually be able to tolerate having some of the lectin foods in them, such as the nightshades, for example. But not everybody's going to be able to manage that. So again, you're going to have to look at what your results are to know whether or not you need to keep those eliminated for longer. What else do we have here? Yum, bison steak, avocado, and greens. Again, there's some tomatoes thrown in there. And we have almond flour pancakes and blackberries. So yes, pancakes. You can have pancakes in a paleo diet as long as you're using almond flour instead of the other grains. What about this? This is grilled ahi with avocado and greens. And there may be some peppers thrown in here as well. And also we have chicken thighs with apples, almonds, and greens. And here are Swedish meatballs. Yes, you can actually make healthy versions of Swedish meatballs. Here's wild-caught salmon with greens. Yum. Here is shrimp and lobster tail with avocado. Yum. So the do's and the don'ts, again, just as a review, the do's are non-starchy vegetables, some fruit, meat, poultry, fish, range-fed eggs, natural fats, some nuts and seeds, and drinking water. The don'ts are eliminate the refined carbohydrates, the cereals and grains, the sweeteners, the bad vegetable oils, the dairy products, the sodas, the juices, and the alcohols. Now, as far as the vegetable oils, remember that olive oil, avocado oil, walnut oil, coconut oils, those are all healthy versions of oils. It's the corn oil, the soybean oil, the canola oil that are the bad ones. And then some of the ones that are just called vegetable oil will have unhealthy oils in them as well. I want you to start thinking about, as you make changes in your diet, to think about the 3 exchanges. So if you have a very unhealthy diet and you're just realizing that now, or you've known it for a while, but you're wondering, how am I going to do this? Just start with this. Just look at the grains that you're eating and change them from glutinous grains to ancient grains. And by ancient grains, I mean things like wild rice or quinoa or amaranth, those kinds of things. And I have an anti-inflammatory diet handout that actually goes into the details of these exchanges. If you want that, just reach out to us at our office at wellspringcls.com, and we can share that with you. And then the sugars, you want to shift from the processed artificial sugars to the natural ones. Now, stevia is actually a healthy sugar to use because it doesn't affect the glycemic index. So again, just shifting to the raw honey, the maple syrup, that kind of thing. Coconut palm sugar also has less of a glycemic kick to it. And then fats. So you want to shift from toxic fats to healthy fats. And the healthy fats are going to come from healthy animals, or also things like the nuts, avocados, that kind of thing. All right. Next, we're going to now cover sedentary lives. So again, this is part of that perfect hormonal storm that is causing problems. Sedentary living, it's all about energy imbalance, and it drives that fat storage mode. So again, a wild human in captivity is going to look like this. If you're eating the traditional food pyramid, you're going to start to look like that food pyramid. It's sad but true. We have engineered movement out of our lives, and it's a problem. Sheltering in place, it's a problem. People have not been as active for the most part. And so I want to just share with you, again, the story of Donna, who she came into the practice. She was referred in by a friend who was a farmer because she had low back pain And she figured the cause of the low back pain was that she had a knee problem and it was affecting her gait. So she came in, we did our regular new patient exam, our discovery experience, where we investigated what was going on, what her objectives were. She just wanted to address the low back pain in the beginning, but once she realized that actually she just wanted to get healthier, so we gave her a plan. She followed the plan, and the result was that 1 year later, not only did her low back pain go away, but her knee also improved. She was able to start exercising. She had a healthier nervous system, healthier organs. She made healthy food choices. And in 1 year, she lost 60 pounds and 40 inches. So 60 pounds in a year and 52 weeks, right? That's right about on par with getting 15 pounds healthier in 15 weeks, just like we're describing here. So she just followed the recommendations, and those were the results that she got. And among that, she also, her eyesight improved. The ringing in her ears went away. Her menopause symptoms went away. Of course, that's all about hormones too, isn't it, right? And headaches went away, all kinds of improvements. Her high blood pressure improved, right? So that whole metabolic syndrome improved just by following our recommendations. And so if any of you are interested in what we're doing and you want to actually be coached by us, then just reach out to us on our website. What you're going to see, wellspringcls.com. You're going to see that we actually right now have a new patient special where our usual new patient exam is $210, but we're going to cap it at $47 right now. So if you're interested in working with us, please just go to the website, wellspringcls.com, click on that new patient special, and we'll get you right into the office. And I'd love to talk with you about what your goals are and see how we can help. And for those of you that are maybe not ready to do that, but you do have questions or concerns that are specific to your situation, feel free to also make an appointment with me so we can just do a 10-minute consultation. I'm happy to do that at no charge on the phone. I'm happy to just set up that consultation, and we can just discuss what your struggles are and see whether I can help in some way. All right, so remember, humans were designed to move. We have inherited a genome that was programmed for daily physical activity and a high fiber diet. So we're not, right now, we are not living the life that we were designed for. And remember, we require activity at a genetic level. Our cells require activity. So again, what is it that causes elevated insulin? It's the energy imbalance, excess calories, too many calories of overeating, but also under moving, sedentary lifestyle. So, and then, most people think, well, yeah, I know I need to be active, and so I'm just going to work it off at the gym. I'm going to have that Frappuccino that's 700 calories, right? I'm going to go work out, except you're only working out. You're only going to burn 200 calories if you're spinning during that spinning class. So remember, you have to look closely at the energy balance. The caloric needs, you do have to take a look at, but you want to make sure that they are the high quality calories that you're putting in. And there is a dynamic of intake and output. And also there is a hormonal impact. So we want to support hard training and lean muscle, but not fat. And we do that through exercise. So remember that food will act like a chemical in your body, and so it will have a hormonal impact to it. So keep that in mind, but activity also has a hormonal impact. And so that's one of the things that's going to be important in helping to balance out the hormones as well. Now remember, when we talk about energy balance, think again about our ancestors, right? Our ancestors had to move so much to gather energy, meaning to gather food, which was their source of energy. They had to move so much that genetically, we are very economical. We actually are we have very thrifty genes. Our genes are set up so that it makes it easy to be lazy, and it makes it easy to consume calories and difficult to burn them. And that's because it required so much energy for us to acquire our food that the genes were just set up that way. And so if you think about it, right, if food was scarce, we wanted to be as efficient as possible. So our body will always try to be economical. And so we have to make sure that it's hard to burn fat, but we have to do it by design. So food, of course, it used to be hard to find, hard to secure, and we still have that physiology designed for survival. So we have to remember that we have to now engineer movement back into our lives so that we have that hormonal balance and that intake-outtake balance. Remember, when you're looking at your abs, your abdomens, and you want to look good, right? Abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. So working out certainly is part of it, but you have to remember that what you're putting into your body is also going to be important. And so again, the battle's won at the register there too. All right, so exercise is critical in achieving optimal health. So how do we correct the metabolic derangement that happens? Just like poor soils in the foods that our food is grown in poor soils, and so we can reconcile that by taking a supplement, right? Nowadays, the soil that food is grown in means that the components of our foods, the nutrients in our foods are less. They just are. And so if we take a nutritional supplement, a vitamin, a multivitamin to reconcile that, that's how we stay healthy. And so we need to also reconcile the fact that exercise is not necessarily an inherent thing that we're going to do. So we can reconcile the deficiency of nutrients with supplements, and we have to have a movement deficiency that is reconciled by supplementing and scheduling intentional planned exercise. We have to schedule it in. We're not going to just go exercise just, oh, by the way, I think I'll just go exercise. For most people, you have to actually schedule it so that it happens. And so our body is expecting and requiring movement, and you have to exert your body to recondition your metabolism. So if you're going to reboot your hormones, you have to be moving, sweating, and panting, right? So if you want to rebalance your hormones with exercise, first off, only exercise on the days that you eat. Okay? Today is the day you want to eat, you better be exercising. And exertion is key. So there definitely are people that say, I exercise every day. I walk 5 miles a day, and I've been walking that same 5 miles every day for years. And I still can't seem to lose the weight that I want to lose. I still have that same fat that I can't get rid of. Well, your body actually is going to be very efficient. And so if you're doing the same exercise day after day, you get more and more efficient at it. Exertion is the key that will drive you to actually kick up your metabolism so that you burn more fat. And so that means not just moving, but sweating and panting as well. So many people say, no, I do yoga, I walk, and they never break a sweat and they're not panting. So I want to make sure that you are panting and sweating when you're moving, if you're going to call that exercise. 30 minutes or more is a good amount to use. And it doesn't matter what you do, you just want to do what moves you. So if the thought of running is just so boring for you and you just can't see yourself doing that, then maybe dancing is something you would be excited about. You get that music cranking and you go for it and you dance for 30 minutes so that you're panting and sweating, right? So that is definitely a good solution. For those of you that are feeling like, oh, I don't have time to exercise, you can do a 4-minute workout. You do that 8 times a day, you've gotten over 30 minutes of exercise in. So if you go to my website, I have the 4-minute workout there. And those are for people in practice. I love to share that. It's on our YouTube channel as well. All right. And so now, again, let's look at stress, because this is definitely a factor. So social stress comes from 2 things, from chronic psychological stress and from sleep deprivation. Now, remember that our ancestors, they had very little chronic stress. Sure, they had acute stresses, like who was going after their mate, right? Or war, or weather, or looking for shelter. Those were all short-term stresses that they could just nail and handle. A few minutes later, no more stress there, right? But the only chronic stress that our ancestors had was famine. Okay, so I want you to get the link here. If the way that we reconciled chronic stress of famine was to store fat, that was what was going to allow us to manage that only chronic stress that we had. And nowadays, we have lots of chronic stress. So what does our body do? Genetically, it's going to just say, oh, chronic stress is happening. It must be a famine. So I'm just going to store fat. Do you see how that works? And so we definitely have chronic stress. And we also have sleep deprivation as a norm in our culture. Sleep deprivation has been normalized. So we have to take a look at that, because the way our body acts when we're in a famine is we're going to get belly fat. That's where we're going to store that fat, because you can still hunt and gather with that fat around the belly, right? If that fat was all in your foot, right, it'd be hard for you to move around and to get food. But if you need to be storing fat because it's a famine, the easiest way is around your belly, centripetal fat storage. And that's why measuring the abdominal girth is one of the signs of getting unhealthy, because again, it tells us about storing the fat there. And so psychologically, if we are psychologically exhausted, the reason why sleep deprivation is a problem, people have insomnia and they're not sleeping well, is if they're not moving their bodies, then you're not physically exhausting yourself. And so your cortisol levels end up staying high. And if you're not physically exhausted and your mind is still going because of all the psychological stress, you can't sleep. So if we're not physically exhausted, then our mental stress will kick in, and then that's one of the things that keeps us awake. So that's why exercise actually helps with insomnia. When the cortisol levels are up, right, that's when we should be active. So it's normal to have high cortisol in the morning to get us up, get us out going hunting and gathering, right? So that's normal. And then when the sun goes down, we want the melatonin to kick in. We want our cortisol levels to drop. And so we want them to be highest in the morning. But now that we have social stress and you couple that with unnatural schedules, with lighting and electronics, and cortisol is chronically elevated. And when the cortisol levels are high, it means the hormones are going to be out of balance. And people say, no, sleep has nothing to do with it. I'm going to lose sleep so I can exercise. That's a tricky one, right? You have to definitely come to terms with that. So sleep deprivation, right, means the cortisol cycles should be low in the evening and high in the morning. The unnatural schedules that we have means that we, come home from work and we start the second half of our day. How many people are guilty of that, right? And so the lights go on, the screens go on, and you're still working, you're still on screens. So unnatural lighting actually will have an impact on our hormone levels. Look at what these key hormones are. Leptin levels, again, remember the leptin is the appetite suppression hormone. And so when you think of, if we have a lot of light, what time of the year is it that we naturally have a lot of light? Summer, right? Think of a bear. What does a bear do in the summer? It stores fat because it's getting ready for when there's going to be not a lot of light, which is winter, when there's not going to be any food. And that's when we go into hibernation. We've stored that fat so that we can survive through the winter. So when there's a lot of light, our body goes into fat storage mode. And to do that successfully, we're going to have more appetite, which means our ghrelin levels are going to go up, which means that's the hunger hormone. And our leptin levels are going to go down, which is the satiation hormone. Also, when there's a lot of light, we're going to be active through more of the day, so the cortisol levels will be higher. And when cortisol is high, think of being active, think of also stress mode. That's when we're going to crave carbs, because carbs are that fast energy in so that we can fight that tiger immediately. And then insulin is fat storage again, so insulin levels will be high as well. All right, so, and that's all, when we don't get enough sleep, that's what happens. And so you can see how that's going to interfere with our goals for having our ideal body. The effect of sleep deprivation on hormones is that it drives the behaviors and the metabolism. So the best practices for sleep are to use the circadian rhythm as a guide. When the sun comes up, it's time to get up. When the sun goes down, it's time to start quieting down. We want to shoot for 8 to 9 hours of sleep every single night. And we want it to be a dark, quiet, and comfortable environment, because that's the natural environment for getting your best sleep. And E-fast is important. E-fast means electronic fast, meaning get off those screens. And you want to do that at least 30 minutes before it's time to sleep, because otherwise that drives down the melatonin. The screens will drive down melatonin. Melatonin is what we need to prepare ourselves for getting good sleep. And so some say that 90 minutes before you go to sleep is important for that screen fast. And again, the household culture is important. In our house, we go to bed early. In our house, we have no sugar, right? The household culture is so important. And it's really hard when you have a night owl and a morning glory. That's hard. So again, try to get the whole household in the same culture. So what have I been trying to teach you here? You don't want to eat less. You want to eat less often. So I'm telling you, eat more of the good foods. And going hungry is not the solution here. Starving yourself is not the solution. So I'm telling you to eat more, to sleep more, to have more activity, right? Maybe sex is one of your activities where you're panting and sweating, right? So can you see yourself doing this, right? You can do this. I know you can do this. And again, let's just do a recap here. So given the ineffectiveness of the popular weight loss diets, adoption of a healthy lifestyle is more appropriate for winning the war against chronic disease and obesity, which is the linchpin to chronic disease. So I wanted to just also explain to you that when we are working with people in the office, we use a three-legged stool of correction. So adjustments in a rhythm, the adjustments actually help to turn the stress switch off. And that's science shows that. So it turns the cortisol levels off. So, and that helps people to make healthier lifestyle choices, healthier diet choices as well, turning that stress switch off. We also incorporate spinal exercises, and the healthier that the spine is, the healthier the nervous system is. The healthier the nervous system is, the healthier all the organs are because they're getting a good nerve supply. And then we also want to train you on breaking the bad habits, how you eat, how you move, and how you think. And so we coach people on those things, and we figure out what are your bad habits and how is the best way to change that into a healthy habit. So that's what we do right in the office. Again, if you're curious about working with us, just go to wellspringcls.com, click on that new patient special that we're running right now, and come and sit down with me. I'd love to talk to you and see how we can help you. Bonfire Health, again, if you go to bonfirehealth.com, resource for you, and it actually is free, where you can actually learn the 39 healthiest habits of the healthiest people in the world. And what they do, again, if you think of a bonfire, you need three things to have a bonfire. You need fuel, air, and spark. If you're missing any one of those, you have no fire. So when you're talking about getting your ideal body and the healthier weight that you want to be, you need to have all three things as well, because fuel is how you eat, air is how you move, and spark is how you think. You have to address all three of those. You're not going to make it. You're going to fail if you're missing any one of those. So all of those are important. So please go take advantage of this website, bonfirehealth.com. Now, some people know the importance of detoxing, and that's a great way to actually jumpstart getting your body into a healthy mode. And so there are different levels of detoxing. If you're thinking that you really just want to start at the more superficial level, let's just do like a 10-day detox or a 1-month detox. I love the purification program by Standard Process. That's a 21-day detox. And I do find people actually, without even trying, start to lose weight with that. The SP Detox Balance program is a 10-day detox program to just kind of get you jump started with that. And they also have a 28-day version of that as well. As far as what are the costs for something like that, people are often curious about that. In our office, the range of costs comes out to about $85 for a 10-day detox. If you're doing the 28-day, it's about $250 or so for the 21-day or the 10 days. So consider doing those things. Again, if you're just starting out, first just look at doing the exchanges for the grain exchange and the oil exchange and the fat exchange. If you want to go to the next level up, think about doing a 10-day detox. If you want to go to the next level up after that, the 21-day purification program has more specific rules with how you're going to change your diet and teach you that. But then if you want to really go hardcore and really get to that cellular detoxing level, then I recommend the TCD program is the way to do that, the True Cellular Detox program. And if you're just curious about whether or not you have cellular inflammation, then the brain span test is fantastic for that. So again, if you go to wellspringcls.com, that's where you can get the, go to the services tab, and the drop down there, you'll see the True Cellular Detox program. You just click on that, and at the bottom of that, you'll see the way that you can get the Neuro-Toxic Questionnaire. And then if you're interested in the brain span test, just reach out to us, and we'd be happy to send you a kit if that's what you'd like to do, or you can come into the office and get it. So these are some web resources if you want to learn more about the paleo lifestyle. So the paleodiet.com is good. Bonfirehealth.com, of course, I've already mentioned. CrossFit.com is a fantastic way of learning to move your body in a healthy way. PerformanceMenu.com is good resources. MarksDailyApple.com is another good paleo website for getting recipes, things like that. PaleoCookbooks.com and PaleoDiet.com, all fantastic resources to just get you inspired and get on track with really getting that healthy lifestyle into your mind of how you can do it yourself. So that is our program. And again, if you're interested in seeing how we can help you, then please schedule a consultation today. If any of you have been members of the practice in the past and you're thinking you want to get that going again, just reach out to us, and your reactivation will be on me, right? You can come in, we'll sit down, we'll rescan you, we'll see everything that's going on, and that first visit will be on me. So just reach out to the office. Our office number is 802-985-9850. That's 802-985-9850, or just go to wellspringcls.com and reach out. We look forward to seeing you soon. Also remember that you can always text us at 802-985-9850, and we'll respond to those texts as well. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Good luck. Let me know how I can help. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're done.